Hi there, welcome to CodeFramer. In this video, we are going to understand the Python list. It is going to be extremely informative, as we are going to cover a lot of concepts. So pay complete attention and practice along with me to make your understanding strong. I highly recommend you to watch other data type videos to deepen your understanding. I have given the playlist link in the description. Before starting to code, we will need to know the important characteristics of a Python list. Knowing these characteristics becomes important for interviews. Following are the characteristics of a Python list. First, Python lists are ordered. It means that the order with which a Python list was created, it will be maintained throughout the lifetime of that list. For example, if we have two lists with the same items, but the orders are different, then the Python interpreter will return false, if they are compared with an equal comparison operator. This is because, the order of the items is not the same. But if two lists have the same items and in the same order, then it will return true. Second, Python lists can have elements with different data types in the same list. We will see an example while coding shortly. Third, items inside a Python list can be accessed using indexing. This means that any item in the list can be accessed using a positive or negative index. We will see the example while coding shortly. Fourth, Python lists can be nested. This means that the Python list can store multiple lists, as items in the list. Also, it can store multiple levels of nested lists. For now, just know that this is possible, but we will discuss this widely during NumPy sessions in future video. Fifth, lists are mutable. This is a very important point to remember. This simply means that the items in a list can be modified. We will see the example while coding. Last point, lists are dynamic, which means that unlimited numbers of items can be added or removed from the list. We can insert items at any position and pop off any item from the list. This makes a Python list completely dynamic, which can grow and shrink based on our requirements. So, now as we know all the important characteristics of a Python list, let us start coding in Jupyter Notebook, and explore all the characteristics of a list along with different methods. A Python list is declared with a square bracket. As you can see, we can declare an empty list, by just giving an open and closed square bracket. If you print the variable list, then it will simply return an empty list. We can store all types of data in lists. For example, integer values like 1, 2, 3, 4 are stored in variable new_list. If you print the variable, then it will return the list along with its items. Similarly, we can store string values inside a list. Python list can also store objects of different data types in the same list. For example, we can store an integer value, float value, string value, and then we can store a list inside the list with integer items. We can also store a list inside the list with string items, or items with any other data type. This is something that I admire about Python. If you print the variable, then it will return all the items inside the list with respective data types. I hope that this is clear. Let us move forward. Before starting to code, I will show a basic concept about indexing. Indexing of a list starts with 0, and increments from left to right. Similarly, it starts with -1, and decrements from right to left. If you have seen the string data type video, then you will find a similarity here. This can help the developer to easily fetch and manipulate any item in the list, to apply different logic while developing any solution. I hope that this concept is clear. Now let us go back to the Jupyter Notebook and start coding. As I said earlier, we can fetch any item from the list by indexing. For example, if we want to fetch the first item from the list, then we can say, my new list, square bracket, and 0. This will fetch the first item in the string. If we want to fetch the third item, then we can give index 2 in the square bracket. Similarly, we can give index 3 to fetch the fourth item. To fetch the list item inside the list, we can use the index position of this list item. For example, If we fetch the fifth item, by giving index as 4, then it will print the complete list item, at index position 4. But if we want to fetch the items inside the list item, then after square bracket 4, we can give in another square bracket, and then fetch the item inside the list item. For example, to fetch the first item inside the list item, we can say, square bracket 0, next to square bracket 4. This will fetch the first item of the list item, which is A. Similarly, we can fetch the second item from the list item, which is B. I hope that this concept is clear. Just try a few more combinations and fetch values from list items accordingly. This is going to be extremely useful during various logic developments in future. Similarly, we can fetch different items using negative indexing. For example, to fetch the first item from the right, we can say, my new list, square bracket, -1. This will fetch the list item with string values from the right. Now, if we want to fetch second and third items from the right, then we can use index values, -2 and -3 respectively. I hope that this concept is clear. Now let us have a look at slicing in Python lists. If you want to fetch all items in the list from index position 1 to index position 2, then we can say, name of the list, square brackets, 1:3. Here items of index 1 and 2 will be fetched, and index 3 will be excluded. Always remember that in slicing, index value after the colon, will always be excluded by the Python interpreter. If we want to fetch all the elements after index 2, then we can say, name of the list, square bracket, 2:. Similarly, if we want to fetch items before index 3, then we can say, name of the list, square bracket, 3. Here the interpreter will fetch the value from index 0 to index 2, and it will exclude the item in index 3. Negative index slicing is also possible in Python list. For example, if we want to fetch values between index -3 to -1, then we can say, name of the list, square bracket, -3:-1. This will fetch the item from index -3 and index -2, and item at index -1 will be excluded. Try a few more combinations of negative slicing to make yourself absolutely comfortable. I hope that the slicing concepts are clear. Let us move forward. Lists are mutable, which means that we can update any item in the list. For example, if we create a list which stores names of few planets, and then, if we want to update the first element in the list, which is Earth, to Venus, then we can say, list_a, square bracket, index position 0, then equals, Venus. Now if you print the list, you will see that the item at first position got replaced with the new value, Venus. Similarly, we can update any values, at any of the positions in a list. For example, we can update Mercury, at third position like this. I hope that this concept is clear. I will stop here, to keep the video length in control. We have a lot more extremely fascinating stuff to explore about Python lists, which we will see in the next video. I highly recommend you to practice and make these concepts absolutely clear. Go through this video few times to grill your understanding. I hope that the video helped you to understand the basics of Python lists. If you like this video, then hit the like button, share it with other code lovers, and hit the subscribe button for future notifications. See you in the next video, and until then, happy learning.